In this session, we will discuss what exactly is half to even. So, half to even is the rounding mode. So, if you see, the rounding mode is mentioned here. So, half to even is one of the rounding mode which has been introduced recently by Snowflake. So, in order to see the syntax of the round function, let's consider this particular snapshot which I have taken from the Snowflake documentation. So, the round function has three main parameters. One is input expression, another one is the scale expression, and the third one is the rounding mode. So there are two ways you can pass the parameters. This is called the positional way, like you can put the parameters in a position. Another way is a named way, like you give the name of the parameter and then you pass the value. You give the name of the parameter, you pass the value, and so on. Let's talk about the rounding mode. So far till now, rounding mode was only supporting half away from zero, but recently Snowflake has introduced half to even. This has been recently added. Let's see what exactly is the scale expression. So scale expression allows you to specify how many digits you need after the decimal in the output. Input expression, it can be a number or a float which we pass to the round function. Another thing which I would like to mention, and I will show you in the demo, that when you are passing the parameters in a round function, you can either use the positional way of passing it or you can use the named way. You cannot mix and match both. Float values, what happens, sometimes are not stored exactly and can be stored little less. So in the demo, what we will see how the round function is actually treating the float and the decimal values, and what can be the scenario where the function round will be returning somewhat different results. So let's go to the demo. So welcome to the demo. So let's see here. So what I am doing here, I am using a round function and I am giving 4.5, and the second parameter I am giving as 0, and the third one I am giving as half away from 0. So one thing we have to observe and note here, that the number before the decimal in this scenario is even. So in this case, what will happen, the output of both the function will be different due to the rounding mode. Scale is 0. So let's see. So when we run the first round function here on 4.5 with the scale as 0 and we are using half away from 0, let's see what is the output. So the output is 5 here. So why the output is 5? Because the rounding mode is half away from 0. So when it is 4.5, it is taking this 4 away from the 0, half away from the 0. So this became 5. Let's see what the half to even does. Half to even will actually take it to the nearest even number what it has. So the output should be 4 in this case. So the output is 4. So we have seen it where the number before the decimal is even. In that case, the output of both the function calls below here with different rounding modes will be different. But now let's take the function call where the number before the decimal is odd. In that case, the output of both the rounding modes will be same. So let's run this. So this will take it to 6, and for 5.5, what is the nearest even number? This will also take it to the 6. So we have seen how the rounding mode actually works in case of the different decimal numbers. Now let's see the scale expression. So in case of a scale expression, the concept will be same. The only thing is that we will get the output as one digit after the decimal because we are using the scale here. So let's see what is the output of this. So the output is 4.6 in this case, as I have mentioned here, and in this case also it will be 4.6 because if you see, we are rounding it to the one decimal digits. And if you see the number here, it is 5 and 5. But if we change it to the even number, like it is 5.65 now, 5.65 now, the first number after the decimal is an even number here, the output will be different. So let's see this. Half away from 0, it will become 5.7, and then half to even will take it to 5.6. As I have mentioned earlier in the slide, that you cannot mix and match the position and the named. So if you see here, this is the way to actually call the function using the named values like named parameters. So let's run this. So what is the output? The output you are getting as 5.65 because we are rounding it to 1. It is an even number, it is taking to the even. But if you try to mix it, like I give named and then I give a position here. So let's see what happens. And it says illegal mixing of named and position arguments for function round. So it works same in case of the negative numbers also. Just for the completion of this video, I have actually mentioned minus 4.5 is minus 5 here, and in case of half to even, here it is minus 4. So in this case, what is happening, the output of both the function will be different since this number is even here. Let's see what will happen here. In this case, the output is minus 6, and here also the output will be minus 6. Now, as I have mentioned in the slide, that there is a little difference in the behavior, how you are actually storing the float and decimal, and then you are calling the round function in it. So in order to do that, let's create a table here. So what I'm doing, I'm planning to create a table. In that table, we have 3 columns: applicant ID, GPA F, which is a float type, GPA D, which is a decimal 10,3. So let me create this table. And then what I'm doing here, I'm just inserting few hypothetical records for the GPA. So I'm just inserting these 5 records here. So I have inserted these 5 records, and if you see clearly here that I have added some negative numbers, and then I have added the 0.005, and then I have added 1.005, and so on. So what I'm doing in this query, I'm just taking the applicant ID and I am taking the float number, and then I am passing their float to the round function, and then I am taking the decimal, and then again I am passing the decimal to the round function, and I am scaling it to 2. Just I want 2 digits after the decimal in the output. So if you see here, we get different results. So for this minus 1.005, the round on a float gives you minus 1, but round on a decimal will give you minus 1.01. If you see here, this is also happening for the another applicant ID, for the negative number as well as for the positive number. So Snowflake mentions that this issue is not because of the rounding function, but it is because the float is actually stored little differently compared to the decimal, or you can say it is stored little less. So what has been happening here in this case, that in some scenarios only, not every scenario, right? So float values are not always stored as exactly. Sometimes they are stored less than the actual value. So imagine this 1.005 is stored as 1.004999. And when you do the round on this, that brings it to the 1. But in this case, it is bringing it to 1.01. So this is how sometimes you will get different results if you are doing a round on a float or on a decimal number. So this is all about the half to even rounding mode and the rounding function. I hope you liked it. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe, like and share. Let me know your questions in comments. Thank you.